Good day and God bless you. Welcome to the Bible reading chronological order. Just such a privilege to have you with us. We thank the Lord for each of you. Thank you for joining us and for participating with us in the reading of the word of the Lord. I pray that the Lord would just speak to us today, that He would show us the things concerning Himself in and through His word, and that He would bless us even as we come to Him through His word. Today we're busy in the book of Genesis again, and we're going to be going through chapters 32, 33, and 34. So as we get into chapter 32, we see that Jacob meets a company of angels in Mahanaim, after which he sends a message to Esau, and is greatly afraid when he hears that Esau is coming out to meet him with 400 men. Now, we understand the circumstances in which Jacob left his hometown, and so we understand the fear that Jacob has in returning to his hometown, especially hearing that his brother is coming to meet him with 400 men. So Jacob sends out a gift for Esau and prays to the Lord for deliverance. And so Jacob sends a whole company out ahead of him, and when he is alone, the Lord meets him and then wrestles with him there. Now, there's very interesting points when you look at this encounter that Jacob has with the Lord when he wrestles with the Lord. Now, we can see the sheer tenacity of Jacob here and his desire for this blessing. And so while he is wrestling, and we can see that neither one is prevailing, that Jacob then asks for a blessing. And so then we see he is asked a very deep question, in that he is asked, "What is your name?" Now, this might not seem like a profound question, but we must cast our minds back to when Jacob was with Isaac, and Isaac asked, "What is your name?" And he said, "I am Esau," and then Isaac blessed him. Now we see that the Lord asked Jacob, "What is your name?" And when Jacob says his name is Jacob, the Lord then gives him a new name and then blesses him. And then the Lord halted Jacob on his thigh, and he never walked the same again. This is such a beautiful, beautiful passage when you dig into it a little bit deeper. And then we get to chapter 33, in which we see there is a surprisingly cordial reunion between Jacob and Esau. And we can see that even though these brothers had their differences, and not just differences, but we see that Esau hated Jacob for what he had done to him, we see a true brotherly reunion when they come together here. And so then Jacob builds himself a house in Succoth, and he buys a field and builds an altar to the Lord, and he calls it Elilohe Israel, which means the mighty one, God of Israel. And we can see then this change that is happening in Jacob now. Jacob is growing closer to the Lord, taking hold of the promise of God, and he is listening now to what the Lord is telling him. As the Lord told him to go back to the land of his fathers, yes, he did so at night and in secret, but still listening and obeying the voice of the Lord, and then calling on a blessing from the Lord. And here we see then that he is honoring and worshiping the Lord even in this. And then we get to chapter 34, and in chapter 34 we see that Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, is defiled by Shechem, and so the sons of Jacob devise a plan to have their revenge. They say to Shechem that all the males in the land need to be circumcised in order for him to be able to marry Dinah. But 3 days after the procedure, we see that Simeon and Levi, the sons of Jacob, spoil the city and kill the males while they are weakened. And although we can look at it and we can think that this is retribution for what was done to their sister, Jacob is very displeased at this. And we can see then that it is causing a big rift between the children of Jacob and the people of the land. But also we can see that Jacob is now turning his heart away from this sort of retribution and violence and all of these things. And so we see that this really displeased Jacob. Now, I understand that all of these things might be so difficult to read and comprehend, as these are the people that the Lord is working with and is going to fulfill his promise to all mankind through. Yet there is so much wrong in the way that these people deal with things, in the way that they handle things, in the way that they react to certain things. But that is the testament of God's love and God's grace that he has afforded mankind. And so it is so important to understand that the Lord will use anyone, and the Lord will use anyone in any way if they would just surrender to him at that time when he calls them. And this is the beauty of it. These people were not perfect, yet the Lord fulfilled his promise through them. And that gives us so much hope and should give us so much hope that the Lord will use us if we would just come to Him and surrender to Him. This is where we're going to leave it for today. I pray that the Lord would bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face to shine upon you. The Lord lift up His countenance upon you. And the Lord give you peace. God bless you as you enjoy the reading of the Word today.
Chapter 32. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, This is God's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses, flocks, and men servants and women servants. And I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds and the camels, into 2 bands, and said, If Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidst unto me, Return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies, and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become 2 bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. For I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. And thou saidst, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milch camels with their colts, 40 kine, and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses, and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Whose art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau. And behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second and the third, and all that followed the drove, saying, On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face. Peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 wives, and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them, and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone. And there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him, and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Penuel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. Chapter 33. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them, and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted up his eyes, and saw the women and the children, and said, Who are those with thee? And he said, The children which God hath graciously given thy servant. Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near, and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near, and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, What meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, These are to find grace in the sight of my lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself. And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, My lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me, and if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure, until I come unto my lord, unto Seir. And Esau said, Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me. And he said, What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my lord. So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built him an house, and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of a field, where he had spread his tent, at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar, and he called it El Elohe Israel. Chapter 34. And Dinah the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem the son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her, and lay with her, and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor the father of Shechem went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel, in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. And Hamor communed with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you, give her him to wife. And make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell, and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father, and unto her brethren, Let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me. But give me the damsel to wife. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, Because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said unto them, We cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. But in this will we consent unto you. If ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised, then will we give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if ye will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then we will take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor, and Shechem Hamor's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came unto the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceable with us, therefore let them dwell in the land, and trade therein. For the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised, as they are circumcised. Shall not their cattle and their substance, and every beast of theirs, be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem his son hearkened all that went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. And it came to pass, on the 3rd day, when they were sore, The two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword, and came upon the city boldly, and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain, and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep, and their oxen, and their asses, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, Ye have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I, being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me, and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, Should he deal with our sister as with an harlot?